The monitor had already gone flat. Not slowing down. Flat. A straight green line where a heartbeat should have been. The doctor stepped back first. Then the nurse. Then the father, who had been holding his newborn daughter's hand through the incubator opening, let go and pressed his back against the wall like the wall could hold him up, because his legs no longer could. Time of... the doctor started to say. That's when the door banged open. A girl, maybe 10 years old, barefoot in a coat 2 sizes too big, ran straight past the security guard who was still turning around to stop her. Nobody had seen her come in. Nobody knew how long she'd been sitting in that hallway, watching through the glass, waiting for a moment nobody invited her into. She didn't stop at the doctor. She didn't stop at the father. She went straight to the incubator, and before anyone could grab her, she had her small, dirty hand pressed flat against the newborn's chest. "Someone get her out of here," the doctor snapped. She didn't move, and in the 4 seconds it took security to cross the room, something happened that would be talked about in that hospital for the next decade. The baby's foot twitched. Before we go further, if you believe that a person's circumstances say nothing about the size of their heart, hit like right now and subscribe to Kindness Tales. Because what this girl did next is the reason this channel exists. Her name was Mara. She was 10 years old, and for 11 months she had been living in a converted utility closet behind a laundromat 2 blocks from County General, a space her mother, a night shift cleaner at the hospital, had quietly arranged with a manager who looked away. There was no heat most nights. There was a single light bulb on a cord. And there was, taped to the wall above a thin mattress, a laminated page Mara had found in a recycling bin outside the hospital's education wing. A diagram of infant CPR, printed for a training session she was never allowed to attend. Mara had read that page more times than she could count. Not because anyone told her to, because her mother worked nights in a hospital, and Mara had decided, somewhere around age 7, that if she was going to spend her childhood in hospital hallways waiting for her mother's shift to end, she was at least going to understand what was happening behind every door she passed. She had seen a nurse perform infant compressions once, through a gap in a curtain, 18 months earlier. She never forgot the rhythm. 2 fingers, center of the chest, a depth no deeper than the width of a coin, faster than felt natural, faster than her own fear told her to go. That morning, Mara had been waiting in the hallway outside the neonatal unit because her mother's shift didn't end for another hour and the break room was locked. She heard the code called before anyone in a suit or a coat reacted to it. She was already moving before the second nurse arrived. She did not know the baby's name. She did not know the father. She only knew the rhythm, and she trusted it more than she trusted her own fear of a room full of adults telling her to stop. 2 fingers, center chest, fast. The doctor who had stepped back reached the incubator just as the baby's foot twitched a second time, then a third. Then came the sound every person in that room had stopped hoping to hear. A thin, furious, unmistakably alive cry. The room did not erupt in celebration. It went the opposite direction, completely, perfectly silent, the way rooms go when something has happened that nobody in it has language for yet. The father slid down the wall until he was sitting on the floor. Mara stepped back from the incubator, tucked her hands into the sleeves of her oversized coat, and said nothing. She had not done this for a reaction. She had done it because she knew the rhythm, and nobody else in the room, in that exact second, had remembered it fast enough. The father's name was Elliot Cross. He ran a logistics company with contracts across 4 states and had spent his entire adult life believing that the right amount of money, spent quickly enough, could fix almost anything. In that room, for the first time in his life, money had been worth exactly nothing. A 10-year-old girl in a 2 sizes too big coat had been worth everything. He found her an hour later, sitting on a bench outside, waiting for her mother's shift to end. He didn't ask her name. He asked where she learned that. She told him about the laminated page on the wall of a converted laundromat closet. She told him about watching through a curtain gap 18 months earlier. She told him, without asking for anything, that she wanted to be a doctor one day, though she didn't know how that was supposed to happen for someone like her. Elliot Cross did not offer charity. He was careful about that word, and so was Mara, who had watched her mother refuse it more than once. What he offered instead was tuition, a tutor, and a promise that whatever it took for Mara to walk through medical school doors one day, it would be there waiting for her. 6 years later, Mara was 16 and ranked first in her class in advanced biology. She had shadowed 3 physicians at the same hospital where she once sat in a hallway, waiting for her mother's shift to end. One of them was the same doctor who had told security to remove her. He never mentioned that day. He didn't need to. Everyone in that unit already knew the story, the way hospital staff know the stories that actually matter, quietly, and without needing to repeat them out loud. Before we close this one out, if this story reminded you that greatness doesn't check your address before it shows up, drop a comment with one word, rhythm. It'll mean something to anyone who's read this far. Mara kept the laminated diagram. It's framed now, hanging in her bedroom, edges yellowed, corners worn from years of small hands tracing the same 2 words over and over. Center, chest. Never assume a child in worn shoes has nothing to offer a room full of adults in white coats. Never assume that the person watching quietly from the hallway isn't the only one who actually knows what to do. And never forget that sometimes the difference between a flat line and a heartbeat isn't a title, a degree, or a suit. Sometimes it's a girl who read a piece of paper on a wall until she knew it by heart, and trusted it more than the silence of the room around her. If this moved you like this video, subscribe to the Kindness Atlas and share it with someone who needs a reminder today that anyone can be the one who stays when everyone else steps back.